greetings and said, "Morning, how are you? Fine, thanks, and you?" It's amazing. Wherever that abides in the human being, there is the nobleness of the human spirit, despite it all. Black and white, Asian, Spanish, Native American, pretty, plain, thin, fat, vowed or celibate, we rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom just 'cause I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like suns and like moons, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just 'cause I laugh. As if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words. You can cut me with your lies. You can kill me with your hatefulness. But just like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh, does it come as a surprise that I dance? As if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, naturally, there I go rising.
And that was a small tribute to the great late poet, actress, activist, singer, dancer, just everything, Miss Maya Angelou. And welcome to Table Talk with Brenda Perryman this morning right here on TV 33, WHPR, Comcast 90 in Detroit. And boy, we got some topics for you. And as we get on into the topics, you're going to get, you may want to call in and chime in on this. So if you want to call in, you know the numbers. And now I'd like my co-hosts, we have the men today, to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Robert Thomas, the Vice Chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Detroit.
Chris Summerall, servant for the citizens of the City of Detroit.
Darren Calhoun, Supervisory Investigator with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in Detroit.
Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. Well, I'll be. Now, as is our tradition, on this day in African American life in Detroit, Maxine Blair Powell was born in Texarkana, Texas. After attending the John Robert Powell School of Modeling in Chicago, she will move to Detroit and ultimately open the Maxine Powell Finishing and Modeling School in 1951. By 1964, Berry Gordy Jr. of Motown Records will hire her to assist with etiquette, posture, and stage presence training for his young talent. Powell will enjoy several years there imparting finishing instructions. I mean, she taught the Supremes how to style and profile and dress and many of the others. She will later teach a personal development course at Wayne County Community College until 1985, and we lost her last year. She was a very, very, very wonderful lady. And as far as our topics, we're going to go through them because we have quite a few topics to talk about today. And I think some of these are very important. For number one, 4 of the Nigerian girls escaped Boko Haram captors. Now, they escaped. I don't know how they escaped, but they did. And they were worried about, too, and were worried about them selling these young ladies into slavery. There were almost 300 put into slavery. Do you all have any comments on this? And we can kind of link that with the Nigerian military.
Well, I think what they're saying is that at least 4 of them out of the 200 to 300 girls escaped somehow. I'm not for sure how, but they escaped the grasp of Boko Haram, the captors in April that actually captured the young ladies. And I guess the subset to that would be the next story, which was the Nigerian military claiming that they know where the girls are. And I just think that's just
I think it's
mere speculation, and I think they're just trying to attempt to get ahead of the game.
Because they have come up
capture.
being so incompetent.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it really has been a media a catastrophe for them, and strategically, there's no advantage to them putting that information out that we know where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm no military specialist, but it would behoove you not to put that type of information out if you did. And even more interesting, they said we have the capability to go and get them, but we're not because we don't. We want the girls to come home alive. I think from a strategy standpoint, I heard that some pressure should be put onto potentially wherever these girls were to be possibly traded or sold. That could be one front to put fear into their mind that if you accept these girls, you're going to be just as liable as the kidnappers themselves. And so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the 4 girls joined maybe another, 30 to 40 that had escaped. So it appears that these militants, they're not the most organized. And obviously,
Neither is the military.
Well, that's what, and I was going to say that they may be slightly ahead of the Nigerian military, but the United States has put in a couple of measures. They said they're going to put some scouting drones and things like that. So we'll see. But again, it's been so much time. You got to wonder how long this is going to be a national story. People are actually going to think about this. Just human nature. Yeah. And so I think it's critical that something gets done now while it's still lingering on the mind, because the people's call, remember, is what brought this, to the forefront of the news. It was the people. It was the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls and
social media.
Social media, and as time goes on, it's going to wane. It's going to fade a little bit, and so there needs to be some type of action, and it needs to happen relatively soon.
Just like the interest in the Malaysian plane.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but I think the pressure is still on with the surrounding countries, though. You have, and then you have U.S. allies in there also with France, UK. I think China and Japan actually jumped on board too to help out with providing assets and investigators like the FBI and other military personnel in these other countries on top of Nigeria to make sure that the selling of those young ladies don't occur. And like you said before, put pressure on those surrounding nations, say, hey, you can't do that here. And which those guys, the militants inside Nigeria, they have no other choice but to stay desolate and docile in that area, that particular area. Now, I don't think the Nigerian military know where those girls are. And I think it's a ridiculous statement for them to come out and make a assertive statement like that.
You're really looking at, with them talking about they know where they are now, the legitimacy of this military and the legitimacy of this government.
Right.
I mean, they have to come out to the world now and say, we're legitimate, we know what we're doing, we don't need all these countries in here, because the world is starting to see, exactly what Nigerian government's made of.
Yeah.
So.
And Nigeria has more money than train smoke when it comes to oil and so forth and so on. But if I knew, this is what I'm thinking, if I knew where the girls were, I wouldn't announce it to the world.
Exactly.
Because now they can move them.
Exactly.
And they start taking measures so you can't come get them.
I guess they're thinking they didn't have the television or radio.
Or any social media or anything like that.
One thing that I'd be interested to see what the panel's view is that how these terrorists, if you were, they said they'll exchange the girls for some of their people. Then they mentioned that. Now, we know the United States policy. Now, I mean, we can't blankly say that's everyone's policy. What do you?
Right.
How would you feel if with regard to that? Do you feel that the United States will undermine that and say, well, if you do that, we can't?
Well, my first thought is no country is going to negotiate with any type of terrorist, and it's definitely not the United States stance. And I'm pretty sure.
Is it their call?
Well, yeah, essentially will be because they fund so much money
right.
to Nigeria. They're going to do what the U.S. Says, but I don't think they're going to try to exchange other terrorists for the girls. I think that's not going to happen at all.
Now, let's take it strictly from a personal level. If that was your family, how would you feel? What would you want the government to do? And I'm interested to see what, because me personally, I'm going to tell you right now, I'd say trade them. I would say trade them, for my family back. And I understand the big picture as far as from a governmental standpoint. But, me personally, I would want my sister, daughter, mother, or whoever back. I think it goes to, kind of talk about really what's more important.
I think you're absolutely right. I think, anyone would want the government to use everything possible to get them back from the family standpoint. From the government standpoint, though, you wouldn't want to get involved in negotiating with terrorists.
But this isn't a government that has credibility. This is already a government that is not in.
It doesn't matter. I think the betterment of the people, and you have to, this is in the best interest of the country, not just one family in the country with millions of people versus it's going to definitely open up Pandora's box. But I would want the government to do everything in their power to ascertain those girls back into the parents' possessions. But I wouldn't negotiate, and I don't think I would want to negotiate.
Lastly, I want to say something about Boko Haram. They have been doing so much terrorism. So many people have been getting killed over there. It just amazes me. I think their president is just not a good president, a good leader, and whoever's leading the military is not a good leader. They don't seem to have any. What do we have? I'm not saying spies. What is it when you? I can't think of the word, but you're always looking. They don't have anyone. Intelligence, right. Yeah. God, it's almost like I didn't have anything.
I think that's why another reason why a lot of the other countries are now in Nigeria to at least look to see who the next potential. And this is just pure speculation on my part, but I think they're doing more than just going over there to look for the girls. I think they're also over there to look and see who could be potentially the next victor out of this next Democratic race they're going to have. Because was it Jonathan Goodluck? Goodluck Jonathan. He's not doing well at all, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be ousted after this.
He has to be. He has to be. Now we're going to go into Edward Snowden. We don't have to talk about him, but for a minute, I don't want to give him very much. What are your thoughts on him?
Traitor. Simple.
Well, I don't think the United States is going to give him any type of clemency or protection to come back to the United States as a free person. As much as he want to, I don't think that's going to ever happen. And I'm pretty sure he thought about that. Well, he should have thought about that prior to committing the crimes he did against the country. But no, it won't happen. No, they got to take an extremely strong stance.
I simply think that he's just a traitor. I simply think he's a traitor.
Yeah, I wanted your view too because you do work for the Feds.
The guy from the suburbs.
You work for the Feds.
And this is not from that standpoint. This is from a standpoint of you took money and you took an oath to protect the secrets of the federal government or protect the secrets of the country. Now, I understand. You might have some feelings that some things are going wrong with, going against the Constitution. There are other ways to do that than to align yourself with countries that are hostile to the United States and give them information in the name of, I'm protecting the Constitution. Now you're not protecting the citizens of the United States, including your own family, when these hostile countries get the information that you have.
And in particular, the countries you gave it to.
That you gave it to.
China and Russia. Those are two of the two other powers in the world that you don't want to give. That's probably second to North Korea. I mean, why would you give these guys this type of information? And you're absolutely right. You know, the guys, even as I think he was a contractor, but even as a contractor, he's still
You still have
sworn
to sign
to
that confidentiality agreement and all
confidentiality
that, so that-
with the United States government, and that was a traitor-esque act that he made.
You know, one of the statements that, because I saw that interview, and one of the statements that he made is, give me names of somebody that was hurt by this. And you can't, because the information that he's trading in with regards to how we conduct surveillance across the world, you can't give that information up. So of course you're not going to get that. They're not going to further put people in harm's way
In jeopardy, right?
to make it show that this one person is right
Well,
while
I
he's
wa-
sitting in Russia.
I was kind of disgusted that they even gave him that time. And I watched a man when I saw segments of it.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's trying to come off so self-righteous now, as I'm protecting the people and so forth, and I was a spy. I don't think he was like as higher level as he tries to make everybody believe he was. Also, and then when he says, I want to come home, I know he wants to come home. But I wouldn't, no, you're not going to come home unscathed.
What do you guys think it meant when the Attorney General mentioned that clemency would be too far, but they would engage in a conversation about a resolution if he accepted response? What does that mean?
I don't know. I think they just want to get him back here
Exactly.
so
Well,
they can
yeah,
put him in
and
I think
that's
it's
what it
like,
is.
you know,
He's-
calm-
due process
calm
is going to
down.
take
Due process,
course,
right.
and there's no way to circumvent
There's
due
no
process.
way. There's no
period.
need to waste the people's money. What due process? He's not.
No,
gonna
no.
be-
Well, he still have to be
He still have
tried,
to
but
try.
before the United States
He's already
government.
tried.
No, he's not.
Right?
He hasn't.
Is there any way possible that he would walk from this?
No, it's not.
So
I mean, he knows that, but he has to soften the language
Yeah.
so he can give himself up. He say he wants to come back on the United States soil. He still has to stand trial and then be sentenced, because there'll be some sentencing involved here, and he's probably gonna be locked up for the rest of his life. Matter of fact,
Like the other spies, like
yeah.
like he should be. I mean, and I applaud, you know, Attorney General Holder.
I like
No,
him.
come on home. Let's talk. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you think I'll be
all-
okay?
let's get the
Okay,
conversation going.
I'll come on home.
This
Okay. I'll
reminds
come
me
home.
of a phone call I had with my mom, and I was
Wow.
somewhere I shouldn't have
Exactly.
been, and she was, I thought I was gonna get a whooping, and she
No,
was like,
she said-
"Listen, I'm not upset. Just come home."
Just come on.
Well, when I got home and that door closed, I got the beating of my life.
You didn't get a whooping.
So no, I didn't
got
get.
beaten.
I got beaten. It was different. So I think he has a little bit of buyer's remorse. He
I
made
agree.
he made a rash decision, and now he's living with it.
Yeah, well,
And so,
he got what he bargained for.
He got
And-
exactly
well, he didn't
what
bargain. He didn't think. I don't think
Actually,
he really
he
thought
bargained
this
with
out.
he bargained with those foreign nations
Well, yeah.
for the information, and now he's locked in those nations. He can't
Right.
come back to the
And
United
he
States.
says he's not getting money, but how are you eating?
Wait a minute, and
How are
he
you
says
living?
he wants to
He's an
come
English
home,
teacher.
and he's saying that I, from day one, said I'm doing this to serve my country.
And another part of that, you have
Join
some
the army.
Americans here that do believe what he did was right. But
There
you
are
do
a lot of
have
groups.
a contingency that is out there that's, I won't say that they're all anti-government, but you have a few out there that believe what he did was the right thing to do,
This
which
is
is
a-
to tell the United States secrets.
This isn't right or wrong, though, as much as illegal or illegal.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a difference, and I think that when it comes to the justice system, that's where there's some gray area, because there's right and wrong, and then there's legal and illegal.
Yeah.
And so where he falls may, under some people's conscience, be right.
Yeah.
But it's clearly,
It's clearly
illegal.
illegal.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
great,
yeah.
great analogy.
I'm going to say both of them is wrong and is illegal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess all in all, you got to say there's no place like America.
I'll let you.
I know.
I think
Good
he
luck,
got
buddy.
over there, and like you said, Chris, he has
that
buyer's remorse. He said, "Oh Lord, look what I got myself into." Because he had a girlfriend or fiance here, his family is here, and everything. I think he's just an obstinate young man.
Yeah.
How old is he? He's,
I don't know. He's like maybe 30 now or something like that. He was in his late 20s or something. but
we have a
he's-
call on the line. We have Brother Jeff. Good morning, Brother Jeff. Good
Hey,
morning.
good morning to your guests.
Yeah, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Mrs. Spearman and your guests, I have to look at Mr. Snowden as a true American patriot, because what he did, understand, took real courage, and a lot of that we don't have. You know, we as a people, we fear man as we ought to fear God. And what he did, understand, was expose, understand, the mere fact of deceit and also understand wickedness to the fullest. And he only did what God would want all of us to do when it comes to wrong, is to speak against power, you know, speak truth against power. And today, that's the problem. And this is the reason why you see a world on its way out, because people are so fearful of man that they sit back, pulling their fingers, watching the world go to hell. And he only did what was necessary. And in a few days, you will all bear witness when you witness America, which is the greatest country on the planet, which great doesn't mean good, but she's on her way out because of her madness. You talking about a country that is so rich, and yet here's a country that won't even apologize for the 400 years of slavery. You think about that. She won't even apologize. Here these people are so rich because of the free labor and the murder and the rape and the robbery and the very destroying of a people's mind. And yet understand, we as men and women, we sit back like cowards in the eyesight of God. And if you can't see God working in America today just by the forces of nature, I don't know what it's going to take to wake us up as a people, really. Snowden is a hero.
I think Darren has something to say.
Thank you for your call, first of all. And second, while I understand your sentiment, Brother Jeff, I'm not necessarily sure I want to place him in the same category as a freedom fighter. And I say that because his job for the time before he made these disclosures was to collect this information. So how long had he done that? And now he's speaking what he considers to be the truth. Yes, this country is involved in some
Nefarious,
some wicked things, but they're, you know, in order to protect some people, in order to shield from those that want to do this country harm, you have to engage. You have to get into that particular life, and I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear on that, but it's just
I want to call it. I want to call it what it is.
Brother, have you studied the foreign policies in foreign government? Have you studied what? See, the thing is about many
Brother
of us
Jeff,
haven't
Brother Jeff,
foreign
I want to
policies.
totally disagree with you.
And what has gone on? I mean, it's just like you made, and that's all right. But it's just like what happened in Libya, and how the UN and how the United States government, that country had the second largest reserve of gold. It was a country where the people didn't have to pay rent, where the people got free medical, where they got free schooling.
Brother Jeff, that's okay.
Understand which was a model which America should be today.
We understand that, Brother Jeff. We understand. We're informed of what other countries have been doing, but when you give this type of information to other foreign countries that's been doing worse things to the United States of America, I can't sympathize with you on that. By no means. We're talking about like Russia and China. No, you talking about communist countries? No.
It's killing Christians.
And not only that, he could have had. It was other ways and methods he could have gotten information out.
He could have done
in the United States without telling U.S. secrets the way he did. To turn over actual documents that put other people in harm's way. No, that's unacceptable.
When you begin to study this country and its hidden policies, and I went to law school in African nations where they sent vaccinations over, understand that are taking the lives of millions of Africans.
But nobody's disagreeing with you on that. Brother Jeff, hold on. No one's disagreeing with you on that. What we're saying is what his actions are.
It's documented.
And nobody's disagreeing with you on that. No one's disagreeing with you. What we're saying is this man's actions might
not. Thank you, Queen. You have a blessed day, you and your guest.
All right, thanks a lot, Brother Jeff.
Talking to you.
What were you saying? What was the?
You know, I'll chime in a little bit. I think that this would be a situation to call with Brother Jeff, the pot calling the kettle black. Obviously, there are some things in the history of the United States that we're well aware of. But when you're looking at governments globally, they share that common denominator.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so it's not a matter of doing what's right, because in the court of absolutes, right and wrong, no government can hold its head up, because they all have been guilty
Right.
of atrocities
We have a
or different things. And so I think that this conversation is more so about what is legal and what is illegal. And we're looking at
Absolutely.
it
He
from a,
specifically did.
And not just that, you have other countries, those two specific countries, been caught with spies and things of that nature in the United States.
Okay.
We've prosecuted a great deal of them. Matter of fact, I think we did barter with them a couple of years ago for
Guys, we
spy
have
against
one more
spy.
call, because we have a full agenda. We have one more call. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing, Miss Fairman?
Just fine.
I'm
Thanks.
calling in regards to the gentleman that's sitting there at the table with you. You know, we have problems here in the United States and in the city of Detroit. That's what I'm interested in. I want you all to explain about what happens in the city of Detroit. That's who you work for in this city of Detroit. We have problems with our officials. We have problems with people taking the land away from the people that's been here all their lives. And y'all are talking about what's happening overseas. Nobody's worried about us overseas. We're worried about these people here in the city of Detroit. They're taking their jobs away from them. They're taking their pensions away from them. And you're still talking about what's going on in a foreign country, and we can't take care of the people here. Tell us about
we're getting
what's
ready
going
to
on
get in.
that y'all know about that can stop them from doing what they're doing to us in the city of Detroit. Because what we're going through, I don't think they're going through this much anyplace else. They've taken away everything from us, and we've been here all our life. Some of the people that came from the South in the 60s and the 70s and the 59s and 80s and whatever, and came here and made money. Now, we have a young man in jail, Kwame Kilpatrick. All the people that worked for him, all the people that was around him, they didn't get no time. But what did he get? 28 years in prison, because he was the top man. He wasn't the top man, and you three people that are sitting there knew who the top mans were. But yet and still, the other people, they got 6 months in a place over here on Jefferson and St. Jean. They got 6 months in there because they was under Kwame Kilpatrick. I don't think that was fair. They shared with the money that he took. They did everything that he did, but the white men got probation. The black men got 28 years in prison. Now, y'all talking about Africa and all those
no,
countries.
but
Those
wait
people
just a minute.
take
Wait
care of
just a
themselves.
minute. We
Why don't
have an
y'all try to tell
agenda.
us
We go
about
from
what's going on here in
national.
the city
We
of
go from
Detroit?
international to
And thank you
local,
for
and we're
taking my
getting
call,
ready
Ms.
to come
Fairman.
into the local part. So it's not about that. It's not about dismissing what is happening here. We just have an agenda where we talk some
Yes, Ms. Fairman,
international.
I
Just
understand
call-
that,
call
but
back
the
in when we get to
conversation from
Detroit.
Each station that comes on here
First of all,
talks
we thank you
about
for your
other
call.
things.
We thank you for your call.
And
But call
thank
back
you for
in when we
taking
talk
my
about
call, but
the
tell
city
me
of
about
Detroit.
Okay, we'll be talking about the city. Thank you so much.
And Brenda, to the defense of the show, I think that it's
Exactly.
really it's presumptuous. It's like reading a book and in the first chapter you're trying to say, well, you know the entire book. The show has a lineup, and so we're going to get to some local issues. And all due respect to you, we're very, very concerned about what's happening locally. But give us a chance. We have an hour here, so if we don't start with where you want us to start with, be patient with us. We just may get there before you kind of, chew us a new one. But
And it's good that that you understand that Detroiters can't just talk about and be about just what's happening in Detroit, because what happens internationally, this is an international city. We have places where people, the ports where people are coming into this city, so things that happen internationally affect our city, and if it affects us because it deals with the infrastructure.
We live in a global community
Exactly,
now, and
exactly.
the way that you do gauge your quality of life, how you go about life, you judge it on a global scale now.
Okay.
And so
And we know that there's a lot of security around Detroit. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening that we are not privy to as far as espionage, as far as security is concerned. But we have one more call, but we have to go to, we'll take it. Jackie, good morning. Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, Jackie.
Hi. I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you.
I sort of feel a little differently about Snowden. I think after his interview on TV, they also did some type of a survey. And after the survey, they felt that, I think it was 71% of the people felt he was a patriot rather than a traitor.
Right, I always wonder.
I would also like to, what I think about him is that I like to know what my government is doing. Now, I know that there are a number of other people that have tried to be a whistleblower and they end up dead or whatever, so I don't know what he should have done. He did go to the newspapers, or he went to one of the really secretively, like, to give this information, but I don't know how you would give that kind of information and feel safe.
Right, you're absolutely right about that.
Thank you for
Jackie.
your time.
Oh, great call.
Great comment. You're absolutely right about that. And a lot of people said they wanted to know too, and he got more positives than negatives. But then I always ask, who do they ask?
Who they ask, right?
Well, there has been a growing crowd of suspicion around the government due to whatever reasons.
Well, and they say they're listening to your phone calls and stuff, but they've been saying that since I was a little girl.
And understandably, again, I think that, and I hate to use this illustration, but if you lie down with dogs, you come up with fleas. And so when you're going in that there's going to be a certain amount of dirty stuff that's going on. And so don't be surprised when you find out exactly what you knew you were getting into.
Exactly.
And so, while every citizen has the right to an open book policy, I don't think that someone who was paid and secured employment and under the premise of secrecy really has that ability to flip-flop like that. And so I think it's one of those situations where you should have thought about it before you aligned yourself in that position.
And he went to Glenn Greenwald with The Guardian, but we have to move on. We're going to go straight to Rochelle Riley's column about Mr. Conyers. He's back on the ballot.
Yep.
And he vows to fight for his place in history. I think he already has a place in history. And I think that a lot of things that he's done, it's been in history. But then again, I wonder, are people voting for the memory of everything he did, or for the now, what has been done in the last 2 years?
I think John Conyers is, yes, he has secured his place in history, and he's going to win this upcoming election.
Absolutely.
But I think he's probably like this may be his last 1 or 2 elections before he's going to have to give up the throne. But I'm pretty sure he's running for seniority, though. He has seniority in Congress. You do not want to give that power up.
You don't want to give that up, and that's a very important position, because the seniors in Congress get the right committee positions.
Not literal seniors.
Well, the senior in grade.
Senior
Okay.
positions.
I
Senior positions.
thought you were making
They
a play
get-
on his age.
See, there you go. That's not me. So, they get the right committee positions, and they get into the positions where they can get goods, money, and services to come back to the city of Detroit. You give that up. What do you?
I think we do understand that, but I would like to, and I may have him on my show, find out about the last couple of years. I don't have anybody in this fight. I'm not in that district or anything like that. All I'm asking is, he's saying what he wants to do now. Well, what had you done the last 2 years? That's very important.
Well, he's chaired the Judicial Committee. He's chaired a couple of committees in the last 2 years, and they've made a lot of great headway with doing things with the Justice Department,
Right.
and things of that nature. I think they've been doing quite a few things.
And also, people are wondering, what have you done for the city of Detroit? I imagine, like the last caller.
That's what I'm. That's what I'm saying.
And what can he do other than I know, because I've participated in his job fairs and trying to bring awareness to things in the city of Detroit. So I think he has a good, long-standing track record. Like every congressman, there are votes that are probably controversial for the city, but he had to make the deal to get to something next, and that's the way this Congress and the way our democracy works.
As a municipal employee, when I got hired as a firefighter, there was physical requirements that I had to make sure that I could live up to. And I'm just speaking in general. Do you think that governmental employees should pass a physical examination upon receiving employment?
No,
absolutely
you know
not.
Something. I see the people calling into question his position because of his age. But you have a sitting United States Court of Appeals Judge Damon Keith downtown right now. He's what, 92 or something like that.
But he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't. He is not as close to affecting policy as John Conyers. I want to know what he did. I want to know what he did before the emergency manager came in. Did he really do a lot of protesting about that? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, I think what this is really all about, or a lot of this started, was with his age and with his condition. And so my thing is, you can't pick on one individual. So you can't just single out Mr. Conyers. So is what the people are requiring, or they're saying that we want some type of mandatory physical examination, because to single out an individual will be prejudiced. Yeah. So if you don't want to single out an individual, then we all have to blanketly have some type of requirement or standard.
And see, now you're walking down my street, because once you start saying, once an employer starts to say that you're going to have to take these physicals in order to do this particular job, you're making it. You're making some assumptions that first
we have to do it.
Well, because you lift
you have to physically go out there. You're in a physical environment.
You have to put on
saving
80
lives
of clothes. He's not going to do that to go into a committee.
What I'm saying is, carry me out of the house.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is, if you went down to get a job cutting grass, or even as an administrator now, you have to pass a physical.
You have to pass a fitness for duty.
A physical, right?
Okay.
We'll go with that. Wait a minute.
We'll go.
Listen to Darren. What does it mean?
So I think the difference between a physical is the physical is trying to find out and diagnose what your issues are. If you have some issues with health,
just overall,
a fitness for duty says you can do this job. You're physically fit to do this job.
Okay.
Because if we go into a physical for Representative Conyers
or anyone,
well, we can't say anyone, because a firefighter is much different from
let's say
a
anyone
federal
outside of a
investigator.
firefighter, because we know we're unique and special.
Okay.
Or if you do, you'll be sitting at the desk, like he's doing.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So what kind of physical are you going to take?
Well, what I'm saying, obviously, there is a general outline of what, when you walk into a doctor's office, we're going to give you a physical today. Whatever that criteria would enlist, that would be the physical.
But in the context,
it's irrelevant.
I think in the context that we're trying to use
the reason
it,
why
though.
I bring that up is because it appears that the conversation started from singling out, is he physically able to? So it's a physical issue. So are we addressing the physical issue, or are we?
I don't think it was the physical part, but I think it was the mental stability to able to handle the job. I think that was, and then they tied that into his age. You saw the column where I forgot the reporter who said that he was old and he had dementia and things like that. Nolan Finley. And that's where a lot of the stuff was coming from. Not his physicality. They didn't too much care about that. Can he handle the job is what they really cared about.
But Conyers, he rebutted with how he was physically fit. He mentioned here, and I quote, he said, "I'm so blessed to be in good shape. Outside of a little mile-high blood pressure, I'm ready to go, fit as a fiddle." So he's talking about physical. So obviously he has to redirect. He feels that it's an attack on his physical ability.
Okay,
to,
guys.
It's comment
Let's
redirecting.
Yeah,
agree.
Redirecting.
Let's agree. I'd like to see how all of this is going to play out. I'm pretty sure he will be voted back into Congress. I would like to see the effectiveness pick up. Seriously. We have to go to the next one, how Detroit spent $8.7 million to flip 30 homes that only brought in $2 million.
Look at this house, one of my favorite shows.
It is.
I think that this is I think that this is an indication of where maybe they are now. I think this is kind of retroactive.
It is.
What I see here is just inefficiency. I see where you may have had a great idea, but you didn't have the structure or the specialists who could fulfill it. It's like playing basketball and you just go grab 5. You got to go grab 5 skill positions, and so
Right,
you
but
have to have individuals with expertise in market, in renovation, rehab, not just people who's going to say, well, we got some houses, we're going to fix them up and sell them for a
Yeah,
profit.
disagree.
but
I disagree.
somebody made some money here.
I disagree.
The contractors made the money.
And they did. But
Contractors made the
I
money.
think number one, they're going to get that back in tax revenue.
That's
Number two,
optimistic.
I'm
they
not saying
have
it's
to
bad, overall
they
bad.
have to
They could've made profit
build
on sales.
momentum for the city of Detroit in its housing sales right now.
Oh, but come on, look at
There's that
this.
momentum,
They
though.
spent as much as $537,000 per home.
And
Okay.
I think you
Because
could've
That-
if
did it
not
better
and
those
way.
those
homes,
homes
if not those
on-
homes, what other homes could they use
Well,
that money?
Wait a
for?
minute, and those
Better
homes
way.
sold for $100,000.
Right.
Okay.
So you putting
And so- and
a
so then
$500,000 into a home
I
And
that
then the taxes on that reduced amount on that, because they're not going to
Thank
they're not
you.
going to assess it at the.
I understand that, but you got to
800,000.
start from somewhere. I think it was
Oh.
still a good idea.
I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
but I also
I
think
may
it
not
was
have
poor
spent the much
application.
money they did, but I
Right.
think it's a start, and I think that the city of Detroit is going in the right direction.
I think that if
it's
you
gonna
gave
build
us
momentum,
three
help build
$8.7
more
million,
momentum.
we could have more effect than what they did there.
Yeah, I guess I
so.
think it could have done better.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not
all
going.
saying.
I'm not going
Oh,
to disagree
see,
with you
could've
guys.
That's
built
on that.
part
homes,
of the
a lot of
problem, I
homes
think,
for that,
is
and that would've
people
started some
are
momentum,
sitting
too.
up making excuses. That was unexcusable. In my opinion, that was definitely
And
an
If you look, they went so far, like it's just too far. In these houses, they put stainless steel appliances, underground sprinkler systems, and a geothermal heating system. What geothermal heating? You know what you have to do? You have to bore 60 feet in the ground, and so.
I agree with you on that.
So
part. I
what
mean,
I'm
I think they went beyond what they should
You had
have to renovate these
somebody
houses.
with a
They-
budget,
yeah,
and they
I
were
think they
living
went
out
past
their dream
renovation.
for their house.
But at the
Exactly.
same
I think they
time,
went past
the
renovation.
city of Detroit is in we're trying to gain momentum, and I
Yeah.
think selling these houses to say, hey, you can live in Detroit with these type of beautiful houses. I think that part is a
Oh,
good thing.
no.
They
I
went
see,
they went
I-
too far with the sprinkler systems and stuff like that.
I disagree with that. I hear what you're saying, and I was trying to get with you there, but I can't get there.
No,
The
it's-
city. Look at what it's causing now. It's
I'm about to
causing.
flip-flop.
It's
Come on, yes, right now.
go ahead.
I'm about to,
If not, we're in the same
I'm
side.
about to flip flop, and I'm gonna actually get on Rob's
Well,
side.
No, I
because
think
see,
it's
because
bad.
the issue, because what I understand the momentum, and Detroit absolutely needs that momentum, but this stalls the
but
momentum.
this is my point, and this same type of money spend goes on corporately every day
Oh,
for big business.
yeah,
now wait a minute,
yeah,
wait
that's
a minute,
corporate,
Brenda.
but
And
we're
so what
talking
I'm
about
saying
the
is,
city of Detroit.
Yes,
The
so,
citizens
no,
of
what I'm
Detroit.
saying
You can't mess
corporately
with-
in the
you can't
city
mess
of
with
Detroit,
Detroit.
we pay for arenas, we subsidize all type of
Yo,
big
but
projects.
you going
So
against
this is
Detroit?
subsidizing for
But
housing.
just
But I
like
just
she
going against
said,
Detroit?
just
That's
like
what
she
you're doing.
wait,
Come on.
just like she asked,
You're that guy.
how they take
exactly.
they pay people little or nothing for their homes. They displace them, and then they'll sell the land for $1 to a millionaire.
Now watch this. Watch this. 8.7 million. You could have taken the 0.7 of that 8.7 million.
Don't disrespect
And
it.
fixed
That's
all that house.
700,000.
Hold
Don't
on now.
disrespect it.
Hold on now. And take that, created and boosted up some of these contractors that are in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
That could have gone in.
That are really in the city of Detroit, not just have a
not
P.O. box.
Not the P.O. boxes in
Yeah.
Detroit, but the ones that are in Detroit, not the suburb people and contractors, but there's contractors in the city of Detroit, gave them some incentives and gave them the backing to go in and then renovate these homes. So now what are you doing? You're creating jobs. you're creating infrastructure with these homes, and now the money is turning over inside of the city of Detroit. $8.7 million into just 30 homes is not going to be the momentum that you need.
And I understand that part, but when I travel outside of the city, and I travel outside a lot, all I hear is about how bad Detroit is doing, how bad the housing sale is, how bad the market is, but selling homes get people, it's a better feeling, it's a good feeling. Hey, this city is selling now. Maybe I should consider Detroit now versus just writing it off. You renovated some homes. Yeah, I think they overdid it, but I think the renovation of homes, then selling them, I think that's a good thing. They just went too far with doing it.
And I think that they went for a showy display versus what was practical. If you take the budget on the one house, the $500,000, you can very easily renovate 10, 15, 20 houses in the city of Detroit with $500,000.
They were doing this to get city employees like firefighters and policemen to move back into the city of Detroit. Jackie's back on the line. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning. This is my last call. I would just like to make this comment. I would like to have seen where many of the seniors that are in the city of Detroit that have fallen behind on their taxes, but they've been in the home for 30, 40 years, and now they're losing their home because of taxes. And there seems to be quite a number of people in that situation that have been here in Detroit paying their taxes for 30 or 40 years, and there's no program for those Detroiters. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that's a great idea. But when things are being done, people don't think of seniors or people like that.
Actually, I did hear about them thinking about putting programs out there to keep citizens in the city of Detroit.
He's on the zoning commission, everybody.
But I've heard some, it's just, some talkings about that. But I'm not sure what direction they're going to move in.
That's good.
When it comes to that idea.
So you're a cheerleader.
Yeah, anything Detroit.
But we got to be realistic too.
Yeah, and I just said I admitted that I think this was overdone.
We have another quick call, and before we move to Belle Isle,
people shouldn't be able to move. Like directors shouldn't be able to move when they make big decisions like this for like 5 years. You can't make a bad decision and then as soon as it doesn't pan out, move to Florida. You have to stay here for 36 months and you have to live. You have to see everybody every day.
That's it.
We point at you, say you did.
That is it.
Not Rob.
Well, unfortunately, Governor Engler eradicated that law where you had to stay in the city where you live in.
Jackie's on the line. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. I want to comment on that housing issue, if I may. I've noticed a proliferation of squatters, in homes. People are walking off in their homes and whatever else, and that leaves the neighborhood just kept hostage or held hostage to these people that come into these homes.
Yes.
You can't get them out. I think there's something called squatters' rights and all this kind of stuff. I saw on the news where a man went into rehab for a year. He comes back. Somebody's in his house. He can't get them out. What kind of mess is this? I don't understand. If I think that's a big issue here, in terms of housing. They're going around auctioning off all these houses and everything else, but you don't know who's going to get them. Some of the real estate agencies get these places, and they rent them out. I think the guy who's on the zoning board there, I want to directly address him. Why don't they have a zoning area where you can only have rental property and have an area where people buy homes? Because when you get rental property mixed in with people who've bought and paid for their homes, you get a terrible mix. It's like gasoline and water, in my opinion.
I don't know. I don't think you want to go in that direction, though.
Slippery slope.
Yeah, it's almost discriminating against a renter, against an owner.
Exactly.
I don't think you would want to do that.
Well, I would like to do it because I see what renters have done.
Well, I say you buy a whole block.
Very nice neighborhoods. They come in. Many of those people who are renting, they don't have the facilities to take care of the property. They move in. They don't have a shovel to shovel the snow.
I think
they
that's
don't have a
partly.
lawnmower,
I think that's just
a water hose. I mean, they're not ready for it.
Partly, I think that's just the state we're in right now versus the state we're going into. When you go into other metro cities, you don't see the renters in a a neighborhood of houses. Most of the folks that own those houses live in them.
Okay, all right.
Am I done?
I've traveled a lot too. I've traveled a lot also, and have lived in neighborhoods while I travel. Besides a hotel, I have been in neighborhoods where I've stayed a week or so, and I got the gist of what was going on. And I'm just going to say this: I understand exactly what Jackie is saying. How one or two people could come and just totally obliterate, destroy a block.
Right, and they can't. And when they're renting, they have no vested interest. That's not their property, so they don't care.
Right, but see what has to happen
coming upon the homeowner instead of the renter?
That's more on the homeowner. And there has to be a mechanism, and I agree with you with regards
neighborhood
to
associations.
Neighborhood association,
yeah,
or some way to keep those properties.
Fees, and some of these people that come in that are renting, they don't want to participate in any of that kind of stuff.
So then it's incumbent upon the owner.
Like I said, 2 people and bring in 10 more, or whatever else. And generally, when they're renting, I'm talking about Section 8 particularly. These people get Section 8 money. The owners don't come back. There's no oversight. They just get the money. They could care less. And then you're stuck with eyesore in the neighborhood, somebody tearing your neighborhood up, and everybody else is paid for their property, and you're sitting there.
Absolutely,
well, I think the dynamics have changed, shifted a little bit, because you have a population of renters that actually can afford to buy now. With the housing meltdown that happened, you had a lot of individuals who got foreclosed on, and who now have a foreclosure on their record, and so now they can't go and obtain a mortgage, but they can still afford a mortgage, and so they have to rent in the meantime to build up their credit. So you have a large army of individuals who are former homeowners who just have to rent because of the circumstances that happen with the housing.
I think that's very rare. I do believe that most of the renters
I think it's more
Section 8. That's what I think. And they're coming into all communities. I don't care if they're high economic communities or low economic communities. And then the squatters, the people who are experts in searching out homes and finding them, and they just go in there.
Well, what I want to say, and I want to stand up almost and say this, is the fact that it's hard as heck to get some of these renters out. It's hard to get squatters out.
That's right.
And it just becomes horrible. And I have spoken. I don't know about my co-patriots here, but I've spoken to so many people in so many neighborhoods who say this is terrible. They're destroying our neighborhood.
That's right, and you can't get them out. They claim they have rights. I don't know what rights they have, but I'm saying to the guy on the zoning commission, I think there need to be some laws about the squatter business. They have no rights. You can't just go into somebody's property and take it over.
Okay, Jackie, thank you.
Thank you.
The homeowner should secure their property.
Okay.
But we have some nuisance laws.
We have Marcia on the line.
Yeah.
Martha, good morning.
I want you all to speak about over here in District 1, we have they want to assess these properties. Now, I've been here 45 years buying my home. I keep my property up, my neighborhood. I understand about the squatters and the renters. However, we need home ownership. But they want to assess our properties now. Now, we pay for these properties. We pay too many taxes in the city of Detroit right now. And this assessment that they want to do over here in District 1, it's going to put a great disadvantage for senior citizens for us to have our property assessed for $300, so that we can have some mosquito. I like natural things. I plant garlic and onion to keep mosquitoes away. I don't need some play cops running around here in the neighborhood talking about we're gun owners, and then we need real police officers. And to assess these properties or a special assessment district are just to get the rest of the senior citizens out of the neighborhood.
No, Ms.
Marcia, hold on, Ms. Marcia.
Ms. Marcia, to my knowledge, I believe the reassessment of these houses are to bring down the taxes, so you won't pay so much in tax fees.
Right.
And the mayor, this new elected mayor, that's one of his statements. He wanted to reassess the property value of these houses so they can bring down the taxes. They're not assessed at the correct amount.
No, I'm talking about it's assessment for $300 so you can have mosquitoes.
I see.
Okay. That special assessment thing that they have over here in District 1.
Right.
Can you all speak on that?
Something like a millage.
Okay, can you speak on?
Oh,
we
I don't
only
know
have
about
a
that.
couple of minutes,
Yeah, I
and we
haven't
have
heard about
another call. Can any? Oh, so
think
they're
you're talking about like a
assessing
millage.
everybody. Yeah, $300 to deal with
Probably
these
because of
mosquitoes.
the West Nile
Well,
issue.
what I would do is get the community, Black Club community together, if you have it, to get down to City Hall and speak. Well, you have a District
Actually,
1.
yeah, I'm about to say
city
you have
council.
to talk to the district manager or the city councilman
person.
in your district. District 1, it's not Cushenberry, it's is it Tate? I think it is Tate.
Well, whoever, that's who needs to be talked to. And we have another call, and as usual, we're not. Oh, good morning. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? I'm enjoying your show this morning.
Thank you.
But the lady was talking about the neighborhoods and the neighborhoods going down because the people are running. One thing they need to deal with is these drug houses. They will let a drug house owner come in there, rent or whatever he is, tear up the neighborhood. The police know who he is. Everybody else know who he is. But they won't get him out of there. They get him, he come right back. If they do the right thing with him, when they have their hands on him, keep him in jail, he won't have time to come back and reopen that house.
And board
so
the
that's
house
something they need to deal
up.
with too. How they act like you don't hear them say anymore. Say no to drugs. They just let these dope people come in these neighborhoods and do what they want to do, and they got the money for the upkeep and everything else. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
You know what, Miss Yvonne, and I totally agree with you 100%. Where we differ right now is that where Detroit is now, not that there isn't the responsibility of the municipality or the city or the public servants, but the conversation I think we need to have is what we can do. And as citizens, we need to take whatever initiative that can be. So if it means calling the police department every
Well, that's what she
day,
says, but
or
the police
you-
know.
and so, but what I'm saying is that for so long, it's, well, they need to.
No.
And I think that.
I'm gonna.
But citizens
I'm gonna give you some
are
advice,
afraid.
though.
Citizens, some of them are afraid.
I'm
We
gonna
gotta
give you a
get
little bit of
worried
advice.
You can't-
because
you
we
can't
have to
have it
wrap
both
it up.
ways,
We have
though.
to
You
wrap it
can't
up.
Ma'am,
both
what
ways.
I don't know is what district you live in, but you can contact your district manager. Once again, he's your direct line to the mayor, and he's going to tell the city
Yes.
police chief
Everybody,
what's going on.
We've been given the wrap-up signal. I'm
Okay.
sorry we didn't make it to everything. So is it going to be San Antonio and Miami?
It will be San Antonio and Miami.
Ah,
OKC.
Dan,
You
I
heard
hope
it
San
first.
Antonio wins.
And
Go
Miami
Thunder.
will win in 6 games this year.
Go Pistons.
Team Heat.
Oh, go
White hot.
Pistons. Oh, everybody, we'll see you next week, and we'll continue this conversation.
LeBron James, top 5 of all time, right
Oh,
now.
Oh my
no.
God! Oh my God!
All right. We'll see you later.
see you.
All right, guys.
Everybody, join us
Better than
next
Larry
week.
Bird. You heard it from this